Hi, Sana.
Hi.
How you doing? What's up?
Great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Where are you calling from?
From the Netherlands.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. I've never been. I've been to London and I've been to Edinburgh and I've been to France, Paris, but I'm based out of LA. I might go with my girlfriend to Eastern Europe this spring, but we'll see. I don't know. My mom's visiting and we wanted to connect out there and stuff, so we'll see. But yeah, I've never been to the Netherlands.
You have beautiful countries in Europe, so you will enjoy, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is it Chilly Willy this time of year, or how is it?
Um, it's very cold right now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. LA is, I don't think it's as cold for you guys, but I don't know. I'm kind of a wimp because it's like even though it gets really hot in the summer, I'm like putting on all these layers, like trying to stay warm because I grew up in New England, in Connecticut, so we get winter for half the year, but I don't know. I get cold. I get cold.
Are
So.
you more like a summer type vibe?
I think it's that I feel better in the heat. This is something I've been learning myself in the last couple of years is that I we'll be doing the verticals and like my co-stars and I will have on like three-piece suits and everyone's like sweating up a storm and I'm not. And it's because I think I'm just for whatever reason I'm not a sweaty guy. The way the heat like hits me, I don't overheat as quickly as other people. But the opposite is that the cold just hits my bones a lot faster. Whereas people are like chilling with like shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like sitting here like putting on two layers and jeans and yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Um, I always like to start with like a little introduction of the person that I'm speaking with. So, can you maybe, because you know yourself the best, can you introduce yourself to the people who are watching?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, can I go ahead right now
Yeah.
or do you or great. Okay, cool. For those of you who don't know at home, my name is Gabriel Armentano. Professionally, I go by Gabe. Gabe Armentano. I've been acting for probably over 10 years. But it's been a mix between studying in university, working in New York, and now in LA. I've been doing vertical dramas for about 2 years. And so I've had a lot of fun in the space. I've been able to make a living. I've been able to make a lot of friends, such as Sana here. And it's been a big blessing. I'm very, very grateful, very happy, and I can still pay my bills in Los Angeles. So we'll see how the space changes. There's a lot been going on, but specifically about me, I grew up in Connecticut, which is not too far from New York City. And then I studied, like I said, in New York for about 4 years. And so I didn't make my way out west in LA till about the pandemic. Everyone's gone through big shifts during that
Mm.
period, early 2020s. And so, yeah, my big shift was coming out here, and LA's been good to me. So, yeah.
Did you always had a passion for acting when you were younger, or did you have other
So,
dreams?
it's funny. My head's like nodding. I'm like, yeah, yeah. But I think the truth is that it didn't really hit me until middle school. Um, I always had an artistic bone in my body. I was that kid in band class who couldn't quite decide which instrument I wanted because I was having so much fun, like trying, the saxophone, or my dad had a trumpet, or, I took a look at the euphonium for a second, which is like an upright horn. I dabbled with the bass guitar. I play piano is probably my most experienced instrument. In art class, I was, that kid at the end of class who's still like trying to fill out the corner of the paper that like just I didn't get quite right. Um, and yeah, no, I love to write. So there's always been a part of me that had a creative outlet, but acting kind of I stumbled into it. Um, in 5th grade, my mom was like, "All right, Gabe, you got to do the school musical." And I was like, "I don't want to do that, mom. But I don't know." And she's like, "Gabe, it's a life experience. You're gonna do it." And I was like, "Okay." So I show up to school and I forget all of the lyrics to the song, and I forget all of the lines in the monologue. And they made me like basically an ensemble chess piece, like a background chess piece number 4 in Alice in Wonderland. And I had so much fun. I was just like in the background learning choreography and reacting to like, the Mad Hatter and Alice and the Cheshire Cat and all these great characters, the Red Queen of Hearts or whatever. Um, and that just kind of, so that was probably around 11 years old where I caught the bug, as they say.
You said you'd like to write, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you mean like writing like in a book or screenplay writing?
I think for me, I enjoy the exercise of expressing myself with words. So sometimes it's a poem or it's lyrics.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a short film. I admittedly have never finished a feature film, which is why I always tell people I'm an actor by trade. But I definitely, when I was in college, I wrote some short musicals that we had performed because I'm also a composer. And so me and my buddies, we would like plot out these entire scripts, but the assignment was only 15 minutes to 20 minutes of the full story. So for the semester, we'd focus on just a small chunk. And so the same thing goes for like these other projects I've worked on. Like I recently released a short film in the last 12 months. And so I guess it depends on what you consider recent. But like that is a piece of a bigger film, a bigger concept. And so full length things are not impossible, but they're hard when it comes to like funding and making sure that like you can actually finish it. And so I've always found it more accessible to just kind of concentrate a portion of the story that you want to tell,
Mhm.
get people excited about it, gauge their interest, and then build from there. So yeah, so I'll write, screenplays, music, poems. Um, I've probably written a couple short stories and stuff. And I'm kind of in a place where like I'm currently blocking out a vertical that I'd like to finish writing full length. And then I'll have to just find some sweet producer, client, platform who would be interested. So we'll see. But I do like to write, yes.
It's nice. I had to include China in one of my questions. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Go for it.
what is for you the biggest difference between filming in LA and China?
The biggest difference between filming in LA and China, because there are lots of differences. I would say the biggest difference is most likely the length of the day. I think
Mhm.
it's just the most obvious thing. LA, um, although we work in a non-union market, the union's trying to get into the verts and short dramas, but it's like 99% non-union. I would say like 99.99 non-union, right? Even though it's a non-union market, which people like to disclaim that it's unregulated, et cetera, et cetera. They take the culture and the etiquette of professional sets into the vertical space. So in LA, we try to stick around 12-hour workdays, which is just a norm in filmmaking. And then they try to do similar things. They do their best to honor meal times within 6 hours, which is industry standard. They try their best to um, get people into the makeup chair as soon as they arrive for their call time, so no one's waiting around for an inappropriate amount of time. Same goes for utilizing stunt coordinators, intimacy coordinators, all that good stuff. When you get to China, because they have a different kind of work-life balance, a different culture of work, um, there's very much a let's just do it until it's done.
Mhm.
And in some ways, it's good because they are so hardworking and resilient, if that's the right word. They will just like push through any circumstance, any problem until it's finished, shot, done. But the other side of that is the shadow side, I would say, is that the boundaries
Mhm.
of, I would say, health and safety, if I want to be like fully transparent. In my well, I guess it's how you define health and safety. Like some people think you can work 12 to 18 hours day after day,
Mhm.
and as long as you get sleep, it's a job, it's work. In my opinion, it's just not good for morale. I'm huge on morale when it comes to being on set. Like when I step on set as a lead actor, I mean, in any acting capacity really, but especially when I have the opportunity and the privilege to work as a lead actor on a short drama, I understand that I'm not just there to act. I'm there to help facilitate the pacing of the day, make sure that like we're all on the same page, that if things feel like they're slowing down, I can communicate with production team, director, my co-stars like, "Hey guys, we're falling behind. Let's keep moving along." And part of that, to drive my point, is morale, positivity, ethics. And so I really believe that you have to like be there to support one another and be positive. And in China, the priority is to, like I said, just get it done. And so there's some production sets that are really good at like checking in on you, making sure you're okay. But then there's other sets where it's very clear that like you're hired as the American product. You could say actor, but in some ways, like you kind of are there as like a product, and they'll take care of you. But you are very much like a part of the client's vision. And therefore, the client's needs take precedence. And if the client wants to do the shot again, if the client thinks we need to go another 3, 4 hours, then we go another 3, 4 hours. But in America, 12 hours, you're done. Um, and that's kind of that. So, yeah, my longest stay in China was 23 hours. And my average day, I would say, is probably between 14 and 16 hours in China.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's bananas. It's not ideal. And people hear the 23 and they hear like red flags and stuff. It's not the rule. It's really not the rule. But I'm not the first person to experience it, and I won't be the last.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
No, I get it. I was really curious to your experience, I think, because I think you are also the first person that I spoke with that is more in China. You,
I mean, hey, it's possible. There's a lot of vertical actors that bounce between the US and China. The
yeah,
truth of the matter is, I feel like it's usually people go there because they want like the novelty of traveling to a new country they haven't been to,
yes,
or they really want the check. And once they do it once, they're good. It's either that or people go, they like it, and then they just stay. Like some people might stay for 4 or 6 months at a time. I know people who've been there for longer. I know people who've done repeated trips.
hmm
I lean more towards, I'd say, this direction. In so much as like I've been there repeatedly. I'm not a one and done, go back to LA. Now, from a professional standpoint, if I want to be honest with the audience, I need to make sure as an actor that I'm balancing time spent in markets. So, for instance, for those of you when you hear this right now, my priority is working in LA. I've been in China for a couple weeks, and I want people to know that I'm back in the States. I'm working in LA.
yeah.
I'm ingratiated in the market. And whether that means LA, New York, Vancouver, Atlanta, I'm in North America and I'm ready to work. When I'm in China, then you have to tell everybody in China, I'm in China. I'm prepared to work in Beijing, Xi'an, Guangzhou, Hongdian, Zhengzhou, Qingdao, all these lovely places around the country. So again, people need to understand what market you're focused on. At the end of the day, as you can probably tell from Instagram, I am out there because of my sweet and lovely girlfriend,
Yeah.
Ani Nositze. And so Ani really keeps me coming back. Like, there's a lot of great collaboratives out there. And like I said, the 14 to 16-hour days are not really a turn off because I just like to work and I love traveling. I spent the majority of my 20s working in restaurants and telling myself that acting would allow me the chance to travel someday. And so, in some mysterious, exciting way, thank God, I have managed to travel a lot because of verticals. And I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to do that. So, yes, my girlfriend's out there. Yes, I like traveling to new countries. Um, and I'm not a one and done. Yeah, I'll definitely be back there. But right now, I'm trying to focus on the LA market. Yeah.
It's funny. I think a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you noticed, he started following me, your girlfriend.
She started following you?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's been really fun. Like, when her and I finally had the chance to work together, that we've been able to kind of close the gap on our worlds, whether it's like our friends we've met in the vertical space, or my friends from LA that are working in China that she's been able to meet. It's been really cool, just like being able to intertwine our lives a little bit. Yeah.
That's lovely. Do you have a dream destination you would want to go to for like filming or maybe personal?
Say it one more time.
Do you have a dream destination you want to go to, or for work, or for like personal?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's tough. Um, I think okay, so I'm just gonna rattle off a couple fun ideas because I don't know if I have one specific. And sometimes it's related to the work, sometimes it's related to personal stuff. Like a work thing would be like I love westerns. I love westerns. And to be able to do like a cowboy vertical or western for that matter in Italy, like the good old fashioned spaghetti westerns from like the 40s to the 60s, that would be such an honor. That'd be sick to just like go out to Italy and bing bang boom experience. It'd be quick, we only shoot them in 8 to 10 days, sometimes less. But that would be like a fun work opportunity, if at all, to shoot in Europe, whether it's in the Netherlands, Italy. I've heard they've done them in London. They haven't I don't think they've found their way to Budapest yet, but a lot of filmmaking is in Budapest. So I have a feeling it's possible they will end up there eventually. It's just I don't know how practical it is. Like when I think filmmaking in Budapest, it's because studio pictures with tax incentives. And I don't know if the verticals really need to take advantage of tax incentives. They just need to not go outside of their budget. Like that's their big concern, I feel like. So I don't know. But yeah, it would be really fun to travel to Europe. I Man, I would love to go to Tokyo and do a trip. You ever see the movie Bullet Train?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the movie with Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny, who was just in the Super Bowl, was in it as well. A couple other great actors. Um, I really like that movie, and I would love the idea of like a trip that starts in Tokyo and ends in Kyoto, and you see Mount Fuji at some point. And so that would be just a fun, like, personal thing. And then at some point, I've always had a fascination with pyramids in general. So whether it's Egyptian or maybe like pyramids native to Central America, I think that would be a really cool opportunity to travel as well. So yeah, yeah.
I have skipped a lot of my questions, but that doesn't matter.
I
Um,
mean, you can ask anything you want, so no
yeah,
big deal.
I'm gonna go randomly whenever I hear you talking about a subject.
That's cool. Totally cool.
Um, how did you learn about the verticals?
How did I what the verticals?
How did you learn? How did verticals came on your path?
So the way that I first started verticals, is that what you mean? Like my
Yeah.
first, yeah. Okay, so let's think. How did I begin doing verticals? The short story is that a friend of mine asked me to audition because she was a casting director. And I said yes, got cast as a villain across Nicole Maddox in my Accidental Alphas Accidental Alphas Yeah, Desire. Yeah, I think that was it in summer of 2024. The long of it is that I had no interest in doing them. I saw those auditions since like winter 23, winter 24, I guess fall 23, winter 24. And I was like, no way, I can't. What is that? Because I got all this ego and background and baggage about like going to school for acting and like
Mm.
I want to do stuff in the movies. And then whenever you like growing up, for instance, my dad might catch like a Hallmark film, and in the US, if you don't know, a Hallmark film is kind of like a movie of the week television soap opera. It's not an ongoing soap opera, but it's a very like uh, cheesy, romantic, soapy 80-minute
Yeah.
show, 70, 80-minute show film. And as an actor, you can't help but be like, I don't wanna do that. No, I wanna do this stuff on the big screen, the things that, like, I go see Jurassic Park and, like, I wanna be a part of that,
Yeah.
I see Titanic, I wanna be a part of that. And I think it gets so overlooked. But then there kinda comes a point, for me personally, other people have different journeys, where it's like, well, I love acting, and I love being on set and meeting people, and once I got cast on that first project, my eyes just, like, opened up to, like, oh, short dramas, some of them have great stories, some of them really are just kinda like silly slap fests with, like, unnecessary, villainous content and whatnot, but somewhere in the middle, it really is a great vehicle to just practice acting, make friends, pay the bills, and yeah, just work, work, work on your craft. And so, very quickly, once I did that first one, I'd say honestly by the end of the first day, really, because my brain was so willing to just try something new. Um, Very quickly, I realized that like what I once perceived as a job I had no interest in doing became the sole focus, which is crazy how life works out like that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Um, while you were talking, you also answered one of my other questions, I think, or
Amazing.
maybe you have a different answer for this one also. But if you could step into any existing show or movie, which one?
Any existing show or movie? Ugh, I mean, me and Ani, we just finished watching Severance and the first season of True Detective, and that I just love all of that. I have to say I tend to just like adore and spend most of my time watching feature length films. But on the occasion that I catch a show that I really like, it just is so good. And I didn't know what to expect from Severance. I like Adam Scott, but this is not like anything I've seen him in before. And it's just I love something that is so rich in theme and metaphor, but also so grounded in what is perceivably reality, even though the show is such like a high form of sci-fi. I loved that show. I thought it was just beautifully shot, and the characters are so compelling. And then with True Detective, I just love, honestly, just the straight up moral ambiguity of the entire show. You're rooting for people who are very flawed. And like in some ways, like verticals accomplish that because there are a lot of flawed characters in the vertical space. Probably the most consistent one I play is um a cold CEO who like discovers his insecurities and his struggle to really connect with someone emotionally. And meanwhile, he's kind of these vertical CEOs I tend to play, they're a bit, I don't wanna say mean or rude, but they are aloof oftentimes is the description that will be given to them. The way they treat the one they love or their coworkers and stuff. And so, no, it's not morally gray, I'm not like in True Detective, shooting people
Yeah.
while, like, talking and waxing poetically on, like, the meaning of life. But there is, like, a lot of morally ambiguous characters in the vertical space. The difference is there's also a lot of characters that are not morally ambiguous, they're very clearly doing bad things, and you're
Mhm.
supposed to, like, not like them. And so in my opinion, that's where the verticals are more similar to, like, Westerns or maybe, like, I don't know, these, like, shows that my parents grew up on and shared a little bit with me that were the word I use is the phrase I use is archetypally driven. You got the hero, you got the damsel
Mhm.
in distress, you got the sheriff, you got the I don't know, the farmer, and you've got the townspeople and the mayor, and all these characters are pretty predictable of their opinion on
Yeah.
a situation every single time you see them. And in verticals, they happen so quickly and so many of them are made that you're not necessarily just rooting for the actor or the character, but you're rooting for the archetype of the character. You know the
Yeah.
CEO when you see him based off how he's shot. You know the leading lady, the leading villain, the male villain, the sick mother, or the
Yeah.
rich dastardly father. You know all these people based off how they're shot and what they say. And it's just kind of a like a it's a very fast, compelling, like, it's kind of a fast food, and sometimes, fast food, I don't know if I entirely like that because fast food can have a negative connotation.
Mhm.
I think it'd be more accurate to have, like a popcorn kinda vibe or like a comfort candy, you know what I'm saying? Where, like, you got the bag, you have to decide if you're gonna eat the whole thing in one sitting or you're gonna spread it out over a couple days. But, yeah, they just keep moving with characters that you expect to see. And so I have all these TV shows that I love, such as True Detective and Severance, that they have a certain artistic value to them, for me, both personally and professionally. But then being a part of verticals, it's fun seeing the different kinds of artistic value they bring, and also how me and my co-stars can really push to elevate them, because in some
Yeah.
ways, like, none of us are gonna pretend that these things are Shakespeare, although I'll have fun talking with people about, like, Shakespeare at its heart really is just tragedies
Yeah.
or, like, comedies, and most of the Shakespeare comedies end in weddings, most of the tragedies end with, like, great loss, and that's kind of the case with verticals.
True.
The difference is that they're just not constructed with the same care. Shakespeare, who knows how many years or months he spent on a script and putting up a play, whereas these, I don't know, you could probably, I'm sure people have pumped out a script in less than a weekend, and then they shot it within the next 4 weeks, and so it's a different priority, but yeah, I don't know, I'm just monologuing at this point, but interesting space.
I like the way you're thinking. That's new for me, but I like it.
Thank you.
Um, what is one of your most memorable moments on a vertical set or with acting in general?
Huh. Most memorable moments on a vertical set or acting in general. It's really fun. Um, Zach, who I worked with from, it came out in January. We shot in December. Um,
The one I was
the
saying
I
saying
think
to
it's
you about that you were making me emotional.
Yeah, they I think it's called the, Betrayed and Abandoned, or the Abandoned and Betrayed Son of Ashford,
Yeah.
or something like that. When him and I shot the pool scene and jumped in, that was so much fun. Zach is
Yeah.
just such a sweet guy. He's so hardworking, and, like, there's nobody else I'd wanna be stuck in a pool with for 3 hours, which, by the way, was heated, which helps, but, like, sometimes they're not, and it's not good. But it was just fun. Like, getting to shoot underwater sequences, getting to shoot, um like something that's just not the everyday, like we're in an office, slapping each other over contracts and stuff like that. Like it's really fun to, I guess you could call it like a field trip. It's really fun to just like get out and like do a
Yeah.
special scene like that. And Zach was just so much fun. Um, that whole project honestly was pretty sick because it was my first time um, playing somebody who was like differently abled with like the lack of the legs. It was not my first time being in a wheelchair, which was also very limited in that script because I did the other script with Skylar. I forget what it's called. It's like Prison of Blood or something like that. I forget. But my character is more of a like hero saves the day. He's in a wheelchair, but surprise, he can actually walk, and he needed to maintain his like hidden identity to protect the leading lady or something like that, you know. But yeah, being able to work with that whole team was just such a blessing in December. And I had lots of first times on that one. It was my first time in the rain machine. It was my first time in the pool. It was actually, I guess it was my second time in the pool, but it was different because the last one that I shot was in China, and that was a romantic scene. So this was, I guess you could say, my first fight in a pool, which was cool. Um, yeah, yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else that's really memorable. I mean, if we wanted to go back to the traveling thing, getting my chance to go to Vancouver was very memorable. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest before then, and Vancouver is just beautiful. Like these like rich, dark green trees just lining the horizon. And this city that is like such a like I lived in New York for almost a decade, and
Mhm.
it's an intersection of culture, if not the world's example of an intersection of culture, which might be a very American thing to say. At the very least, it's our American intersection. But when I went to Vancouver, I was like, oh, this is different than New York. It really is. And I think it's because it's closer to Asia. So there's a lot of immigration from Southeast Asia, South Asia. I'm willing to bet parts of the Middle East as well. Whereas like New York, you get more of, the European shift, maybe more of an African or a South American. It's just different. But Vancouver was sick. Um, and then I'm trying to think if there's any. I'm just like off the noggin. What was really fun? Um, Specific experience. You know what? When I shot with Lottie Guidi in January of last year, Hear My Love. Is it Hear My Love or Hear My Love again? Um, Lottie and I, that was when I got to do a subgenre of we could call the corporate romance or the like CEO figure. And instead, I got to play a political figure. I got to play the governor in California. And it was so much fun. Again, going on a field trip. It was so much fun instead of being in the office all day that we went to a farm. And I've got this kind of like modern governor. He looks kind of like a corporate guy, but he's got, the hat on with the like boots and the jacket, and he's like shaking hands with his constituents. But it was like such a great experience. Um, Being able to step on a farm and pet a horse and like be in nature and like get my allergies kind of messed up because that's just inevitable with me. But I don't care. Like I love being outside. I've worked on a farm before, so I really love being in nature. So yeah, that was a really good experience. For those of you who like love verticals out there, and you like Hear My Love Again, that was a very special experience for me. That was great. Yeah.
I love how you answer already also the next one, or maybe you have also a different answer. That is, if you have to recommend one of your verticals to a fan that doesn't know you already, which one?
I think the move would probably be Hear My Love Again. I think that's a good instinct. I'm pretty happy with my acting overall in that one. Like we make these so quickly that sometimes I'm not happy with my acting, either because I don't think I was being as specific in a moment. I think maybe um, I didn't quite crack the shape of the scene. Uh, but then there's other times where like you just inhabit the, I don't know why. Maybe it's the way the dialogue's written. Maybe it's like the season that you are as a person you're moving through. But Hear My Love Again, I felt pretty good about the way I inhabited that character. Um, so Hear My Love Again's good. I feel like most of the stuff I make with 24K is pretty good, which is the production company. So Hear My Love Again, and then Find Me, Mr. President, which I shot with Casey.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my most recent popular ones, and that was really fun too because Casey's great to work with, and we got to work with. I'm trying to think. The young girl was really good too.
Do you
Man,
mean
I love
Scarlet?
working with kids. Say it again.
Do you mean Scarlet?
So
Or
Scarlett
was
was
the other
in.
one?
Yes, exactly. Different production company. That was with Gingerbread Pictures. Which, by the way, working with Casey and Fabian and Scarlett, they're all great. So yeah, shout out to Scarlett. I think she had a birthday recently, and she's very adorable and easy to work with. She's really great. But then, yeah. So in fact, Fabian's awesome too. Who I we're just chatting the other day actually. But that was when Broken Hearts Beat Again, and that was a cool script. Very similar to Find Me, Mr. President, with a child and parents, and they meet years later, and he finds out he has a kid, and blah blah blah. Just he's a medical professional instead of a political figure, and so yeah. I guess those are three solid projects. Hear My Love Again, When Broken Hearts Beat Again, and Find Me, Mr. President. Yeah.
There's like great choices. Mhm.
Thanks.
Oh, what do you like to do when you're not busy with acting?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so love playing on the piano, writing on the piano. It's kind of therapeutic. It doesn't even have to be like an exercise of like writing necessarily. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah,
I am spending so much time on FaceTime with my sweet girlfriend because she lives a million miles away, long distance relationship. So her and I will catch up often, and we'll talk about ways to like come up with more videos and trends to make together. We're gonna start like a long distance couples page and stuff like that. Um, and also she's just my rock. So it's really great to just like spend time with her when I'm feeling down, whether I'm concerned about the future, or maybe a family member's sick, or maybe I don't know, maybe I'm just feeling grouchy because I didn't get enough sleep because I was up late doing auditions or something. So shout out to Ani. She's always supporting me. So yeah, there's piano, there's relationship. Um, I play Fortnite. That's a thing. I try not to get too sucked into it because people ask if I'm a gamer. I just I think me hesitating to answer that question is me admitting that I play more than most people. But the truth of the matter is that like when I think gamer, I think of people who are doing it as like a part-time job, Sana. Like that, like
yeah.
like all of us have friends of ours who like they're playing
My brother.
easily 30 to 40 hours a week, and that's just not me. And I don't play by myself. I have no interest in playing by myself. I only play socially with friends. I'll play a story-based video game with a friend in the same room, or I will play Fortnite with a friend in the same city, across the country, etc. I see it as an opportunity to basically catch a beer with somebody that I can't meet with in person, which is why it's a little bit more relevant for like my friends who live either several hours away by plane or by car. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, video games are a thing. Um, I don't currently have a bicycle, but I love riding bikes. I did it for years in New York. I did food delivery and dry cleaning delivery in New York for a very long time. Another great way to make money. And I don't know, it's very liberating. Like the cars, you're stuck in a car all day, you know, and like I enjoy the exercise of it. I enjoy getting to see the little corners of every neighborhood that you just miss when you're in a subway or a car, you know? Oh my goodness, my disposable camera. I've been taking these like crazy. And so this has been a very fun hobby for me. I've been very much enjoying it. Um, and let me think what else. Uh, reading. I have a list of books on I don't know what you want to call it, my nightstand, but it's really a morning stand because I don't read at night. I read in the morning. And so like, I'll put my headphones there if I'm listening to music or any book I'm reading, which it could be, faith-based nonfiction or self-help or, maybe I'm learning about a specific topic. Like right now, I mentioned on Instagram, I'm trying to make homemade beef jerky, so I'll read some stuff about that. I have a dehydrator, so that's a fun hobby. I've been trying what it's like to like eat sweets that are, I guess you could say, more natural. Because I got a sweet tooth. Oh my goodness, son, I have a sweet tooth. I can pound down, but like, yeah. And the Netherlands, you guys make kick-ass soft candy and hard candy. Like, you guys are really good. So yeah, so lately I've been trying to take that desire and channel it into like I'll chop up apples and I'll dry them for like 16 to 24 hours in my little machine. Or I'll do the same thing with pineapple. I highly encourage if you save up a couple bucks and you want to buy a dehydrator machine, pineapple, apple, bananas are kind of crunchy, but they're very sweet. And yeah, I would start there. Those three are really good. Oh, and mango, of course. Mango's
Yeah.
really good. So yeah, that's a bunch of little like hobbies and things I find myself doing in addition to, as I was saying, like writing, creating. Because it's funny is when you ask that question, what do I do outside of acting? What I'm really hearing is what do I do for fun outside of professional stuff?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, if I'm not acting, I'm still thinking about other professional stuff. Like we said, writing, producing, maybe trying to start like another kind of business, or in the case of Ani, thinking about like video trends and stuff. But some people would be like, "Yeah, I think you're still working, Gabe. Like, what do you do to relax?" And relaxing is going to the movies, bicycle riding, playing piano, reading, dehydrating fruits and vegetables in my kitchen, So yeah.
You're literally again answering a question that I had. That that was what helps you relax on hard days.
Oh yeah. So well, okay. So to answer that question differently, what does help me a lot is just catching up on stuff, because I'm the kind of person that like we can call it like an open loop. If I have to do laundry, it's just like a little thing, tapping on the back of my head. So I need to do it. And days off, getting to do those things brings great ease and peace to me. Making sure that like the dishes are clean, the counters are kept, the apartment is in like a good state of affairs, catching up on my mail or other responsibilities from like a more, Gabe CEO got to get his like jury duty and taxes and whatever else, you know what I'm saying? So on my days off, I really enjoy catching up on those things, which I'm sure for other people, it's like, no, Gabe, that's not relaxing. Relaxing is putting on pajamas and moccasins and like taking a nap.
We all have
So
different ways of relaxing. So
yeah, it's true. It's true. So one of these days, I think one of my new hobbies will be, we call it aquascaping. And that has always intrigued me, and I have a tank ready to go, but it's basically an underwater garden. You get a tank, you put real soil, you inject the water with CO2 to a degree that it helps the plants flourish,
Mm,
absorb the CO2 in the water, and then they'll release oxygen as they grow. And you'll get a light to help, promote growth as well. But people hear that and they're like, "You mean a fish tank?" And I'm like, "I mean, that's if I put fish in it. The priority is to
mm,
to grow the plant underwater, and then a fish can enhance the ecosystem and bring more of a like, a cycle and add, the I don't know all the details, so I don't want to like misspeak when it comes to like the chemistry of maintaining a
mm,
like a flourishing tank with plant life and and fish. But I know that the way the fish eat, the way that they excrete, the way that the plants use all of that to like maintain life, it's I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. So that might be a fun. I guess you could tell that like my hobbies and things that help me relax are still kind of proactive.
yeah.
Um, and oftentimes they use hands. Like that's a really important thing to me. When I'm not acting, if I want to feel engaged and stimulated, using my hands is really important to me. Whether it's like making gifts with like I made Ani a bookmark once. And like the process of sitting at the table, drafting out how I want to make it. And then cutting out the words that I typed and the flowers that I dried and picked and pouring them into a mold with resin and like that whole process, tying the loop of the bookmark so you can see where the thread falls over the page. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the that is meditation to me. A activity that draws my attention to this moment, here and now. Nothing else matters, which is part of the reason why I like acting as well. Is because acting, when the director calls action, nothing else matters but that moment. Oh, and that is true meditation and beauty. It's very it's wonderful. Yeah.
I don't know if I already asked this. Um, I don't remember exactly if I already asked this. So if I did, you have to say.
You're good. You're gonna good. Shoot.
What is your most challenging or rewarding scene or role?
What's my most challenging or rewarding scene or role? Um, so I'll answer that two ways. Challenging scene. This might sound insane because the scene was absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, but like we're doing a vertical and you got to commit. And in the betrayed and abandoned son of Ashford, when the secret, which I don't want to give away to anybody who's listening, but there's a big secret that's revealed in a hospital,
I,
and all the families around me, and it's like a very traumatic experience of having to beg your family to recognize you, beg them for their love. And meanwhile, they just want to manipulate and coerce me into effectively mutilating my body. And that scene was a really good example of like crying naturally on camera. For those of you at home who don't know, all of us actors in verticals, but in general, have different ways of crying on camera.
mhm,
Some people can create the tears naturally. Some of them can create them. Uh, I guess you could say you can manufacture them. And so I tend to live between the two. If I am hydrated and emotionally connected to the character, and I can focus and just be present, then the tears come flowing, which was an example in that scene. And that was that I was just I don't know, as an actor, it feels so good to just like engage with a scene where like, oh my goodness. And this might sound like a silly thing. For
Yeah.
some people, it might sound like an egotistical thing. It's like, oh wow, an actor knows how to cry. Good for him. And like for me personally, there's just been insecurity about it. It's very easy to meet other actors and actresses who like they just cry on command or they cry on cue.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you guys at home, but sometimes you can't help but wonder, like, are they like a little bit psycho if they're able to just start weeping on the spot? But the other side is that they just, whether or not they're connected to their emotions or they're literally just connected to their nervous system in a way that they can just flip a switch, that's great. Like, good for them. It's a very useful tool as an actor.
Yeah.
For myself, I've come to a place where I've been able to like relatively quickly connect to a place that will produce tears. Um, but in some scenarios, it's like, really? I get one line and then you want me to start crying and it's a half a page scene long and you want to shoot it from 10 different angles? Like, and also it's the end of the day and I'm tired and I'm dehydrated. Like, what? And then I'll take out the tear stick, put on my eyes, and then I'm like irritated and I'm like crying because of the pain. And like, but you want to give the camera what it needs to see, you know? So sometimes you're manufacturing, at least for me. But I've had lots of beautiful moments on set, particularly during this medical scene where I'm in a wheelchair, desperately crying out to my family for help, and all of it was like 100%, free range, organic tears, you know what I'm saying? And it
Mhm.
that was just that felt really good as an actor. I was very grateful for that. And then another experience, which was, in my opinion, lovely, was not on a vertical. It was the show or short film that I produced with my friends back in 2024. And wow, yeah. It was no more than a year, but it was December of 24. So it was just past the 12-month mark. And the film was called Rage Bait. And that was an originally written script. Me and my roommate wrote it. He's a very talented screenwriter and director, and he's, attended big schools, USC, AFI. He's kind of a big deal, but he's still finding his way in the industry because, of course, Hollywood is impossible to break into, but not impossible, but it's a tough town. And so he's a talented guy, and we worked on the script together, and me and my friends, we all produced it and cast each other in it. And it felt so good to step on set and inhabit a role that I wrote.
Yeah.
And that, like, being able to just like focus and act and like let Colin direct and let the producers produce at that moment. Cause like, yes, we produced it, but when I'm acting, I just need to forget everything else. And when I stepped on that set, I'm mostly doing verticals. But on that set, it's a single camera. If you may or may not know, verticals are mostly shot multicam. There's usually at
Mhm.
least two cameras running at all times. Very rarely are they shot with one camera. Sometimes as many as four. I've heard people even said five, but my general experience is two, sometimes three. And to be back on set with just one camera, like this is all that matters right here, this moment. I don't gotta worry about anyone else's angle. I don't necessarily gotta even worry about the light per se because you'll adjust the lights. Very liberating. And also just like getting to lock in on that character it felt so good. Oh, it felt so good. Also, just to keep talking, so there was Rage Bait, the short film I wrote and produced and acted in with my friends. There was Son of Ashford, which was a nice little. I guess as an actor, it was a feeling of self-respect where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm earning my place here. I'm not
You do.
just
Right.
yeah, relying on tricks. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then there was a third project I did recently, which was probably the biggest project I've been on. It was a feature film called The Good Dark, and they have probably a budget of a 500,000, maybe three quarters of a million. I don't know the numbers, but it was a really cool project to be on and be invited to be a part of. And there's just so many lovely actors who have worked in television, and they like had they've done stuff as far back as the '90s, and that I had no producing at all. It's like, yo, you're cast to play the character Henry. You got no other responsibility. You step on set, you're Henry. And that's cool. As an actor, it feels really good to just be like, "Oh, that's it? That's all you need me to do?" You don't need me to like, if a plane is flying overhead, I gotta just like hold and make sure like we're getting the sound we need. Or because again,
Yeah.
verticals, when I step on set in verticals, I'm not really, in my opinion, I'm not really stepping on set just as an actor. I might be writing because the dialogue I've been given still could use a little tweaking from the translation.
Mhm.
Or maybe like I said with the producing stuff. I'm not hired as a producer, but sometimes you need to be able to temperature gauge what is the flow of the day, how's everybody doing, checking in, make sure that your co-stars are being taken care of. Um, quite literally being like, hey, that prop wasn't on that table before, let's get that out of there. Because I mean, there's lots of talented prop masters. It's just we're moving so quickly, it's hard to keep track of everything.
Mhm.
For those of you at home who don't know, when you shoot a script in a vertical, you guys watch it as a TV show, 2 episodes at a time, but it's about the length of a regular movie. It's about an hour and a half, sometimes more, sometimes less. So in a movie, every minute represents about a page of screen time. So when you open up a screenplay, the script, one page in the script is about 1 minute in the movie. And so when you're shooting these pages, traditional film probably wouldn't shoot more than 8 pages a day, and when I say probably, I really mean absolutely 99% of the time. It's just not everybody is a big budget studio film. Big
Mhm.
budget studio films could shoot 2 to 3 pages a day, tops. Sometimes they'll shoot less. Sometimes they'll go up to 5 depending on the scene and the location and stuff. Not that I've worked on them before, but the point is like, I know to be true that they shoot as little pages as possible. They shoot as much as they can to save money, but they wanna get the goods. So let's say anywhere between 2 to 5 pages in a day. In a vertical, we're shooting 12 to 20 pages in a day.
Yeah.
And so you have to consider, does everybody really have the focus and the attention and the ability to perform at the most optimal level? Or do we need to look out for each other and cross department lines and be like, "Hey, let's fix that because I know you're busy doing other stuff. Let's just check in and fix that as well." And so as an actor, I'm really not just acting, I'm doing that as well.
Mhm.
I'm just, asking about the lighting or the props or my wardrobe. In a perfect world, I'm really just focusing on acting and letting all the departments do their thing, but you can't do that when you're doing more than 12 pages a day. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So, working on that set, The Good Dark, last fall, it was nice because I just showed up, put my costume on, and I was Henry, and that's it. So, yeah.
Can people watch that one? The
I mean, that's something, you're welcome to check in with me and we could talk about in the coming months. But the truth of the matter is, because we shot it in November, December,
yeah.
most feature films turnaround is about 12 months. I mean, if they're done faster than that, cool. Like if they got the money for it, or like it's just coming together. But the thing is, even if it's finished, they wanna do a festival run, so they still can't release it. They're gonna hold on to it and see how festivals receive it, and then it'll get a world premiere, and then ideally it'll get a distribution deal with, streaming platforms or video on demand or something, so but keep an eye out for The Good Dark. So, yeah.
Um, do you do you have advice for someone who wants to be an actor?
Advice, okay, let's think about this. So I'm going to give very practical advice, and some people are going to hate this or some people are going to like this. When I was 18, I told mom I wanted to work as an actor. 17, 18, right? And she's like, Gabe, you want to act? Go to Hollywood. And I'm like, well, I want to train, I want to study. Some of the greatest actors, like they went to school, they studied. And so I went to school and I graduated from school. And one of the fastest things I realized after getting my degree in acting, which again is kind of useless and everybody knows that, but my training, which is important. After I did 4 years of training in the craft of acting, stage, film, whatever, I found out very quickly that most industry professionals don't care where you went to school. All they care about is, do you know how to act? And so when you're trying to get a job, for those of you at home who want to act, you need to be able to display that reliably, as fast, and as thoroughly as possible. So you could spend 4 years training, but if you don't have a reel with video footage, nobody can hire you. Um, you could have the best resume in the world when you come out of school, but at the end of the day, it's most likely not TV credits. And TV credits don't just say that you know how to act. More importantly, they say you can be trusted stepping on a professional set and not getting in anyone's way. Because the majority of acting gigs that when you're first starting out, some people refer to it as like a journeyman actor,
Mhm.
um, or more of like an apprentice, I guess, if you're thinking in like union language. Um, most people think it's all about like just showing that you know how to act, and it's really not. It's showing that like because most of those early jobs are a couple lines, a couple hours. You're not on set all day long, or maybe you are, but you're only on for one day. And having that on your resume doesn't prove that you can act. It proves that you can be trusted to show up and
Mhm.
not get in the way. And so a resume from school is not really a big deal, and your training is not going to convince anybody. So when you graduate from a program, you have to accept that no one's going to hire you unless you can figure out how to get footage in front of them. I'm not a big fan of blanket statements like, yeah, maybe you can convince somebody, but like the general rule is you don't got a reel, you're in big trouble.
Mhm.
And then the other thing too is a lot of people, I think, at least as 18-year-olds, when you're first coming out of high school, or you could call like secondary education, everything up till like 12th grade, people think like, oh, I'll go to school and then I'll start acting and I won't have to go back to class. The majority of actors you see on TV, they were in a studio class up until the moment they regularly booked and did not have time to go to class anymore. Um, everybody. And when I say studio class, I don't mean university. I mean there are little studios around cities that actors show up to once a week, sometimes twice, but usually once, 3, 4 hours at a time. They practice scenes together, they practice plays together, they practice sometimes even scripts from film and TV, but they come together under a teacher or a multitude of teachers or a technique, whatever the focus is of the studio, and it's like a gym, and that's the point,
Mhm.
is the gym showing up consistently is, an expectation to embrace if someone's going to pursue acting. And so I'm not even saying you have to go to class to become an actor. My advice is don't go to university thinking that you're going to finish your training and then just start acting. If you don't want to go to school,
Mhm.
if you don't have money for school, just go to the nearest city you can afford, find whatever you can audition for, and find a local class that you can show up and do your version of going to the gym. Because I can
Mhm.
assure you, Like for me, choosing to go to university, they don't let you audition professionally when you're in school. They discourage it. You know, some people say that, well, it's because you want to finish your training, but it's like, it's not really that, in my opinion. I'm, you know, maybe a pessimist, but it's because like they have quotas to maintain. And if they lose a student, they
Yeah.
lose a source of income. And the thing is, a lot of these schools run on endowments anyway. So like, it's not like the school's going to go bust, especially if it's a private school in the US. But to them, you are a financial line in a ledger somewhere. And that doesn't mean you don't have great teachers and responsible administrators who care about your well-being, but it does mean that you are dollar signs to
Mm.
them. And so when you go to school, you will not be auditioning for 4 years. And from 18 to 22, those are vital times for casting directors to get to know you. So, you know, if I want to go full pessimist, the entire like industry of university training for actors in some ways is very backwards because it's a time suck, it's a money suck, and you're not getting any exposure to the actual gatekeepers of the industry. And therefore, you could be auditioning while learning in a studio, not spending 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 a year going in debt. And the biggest risk, which I can appreciate, but if you really want to act or work in a field of creativity regardless, the biggest risk is just not getting a degree. I mean, if you want a degree, go get another degree. But in my opinion, like as much as I love my training and like at the time it was called Pace, now it's called Sands College in New York City. Um, like sure, the training was good, but the point is that if you want to act, you don't have to go to university. And in fact, I would encourage you just get into a studio ASAP, start auditioning at the age of 18, because otherwise you will feel years later the weight of the lack of exposure. People just need to know who you are, and they're not going to know who you are if you delay the inevitable by disappearing in school for 4 years, you know?
Mhm.
If you got the money for school and if you don't have fun, like go for it, you know? But like, I don't know. Does that make any sense at
Yeah,
all?
for sure.
Yeah. So,
Uh, I think your answer would be really helpful for someone.
yeah. I guess to make that story full circle, it's like if your mom tells you to go to Hollywood, just go to Hollywood. Just do it, you know? Um, but in my case, I don't know if Hollywood was Hollywood to me because it was not really as much anymore the center of film in the US. But whatever the center of film is in whatever part of the world you're in, if you're in China and you need to go to, I don't know, Beijing, Qingdao, Shanghai, wherever it is, if you're in Europe and maybe it's Berlin is a big place for film, I don't know, Budapest or somewhere. I'm not entirely familiar with the European scene, but there's, you know, different parts of the planet have different epicenters. Just go there, you know, and if you want to take classes, take the classes, but get involved as soon as possible. Do not wait.
Mm. Um, I think. How do you prepare for roles?
Which roles
Just roles in general. How do you
in general? How long?
prepare?
So preparation is an interesting thing because I think every actor would just love an infinite amount of time to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is you will never get that. And the bigger truth is you don't need that. Um, some people will procrastinate and wait to the last minute. Some people will work like a horse and just every single day they will just constantly rotate the script like a Rubik's cube until they find what's settled. But for me personally, um, when it comes to roles, I really would like at least a couple weeks. You know, the truth of the matter is you just don't get that. Like with the feature film, ideally I'd say I'm getting at least 8 weeks to prepare.
Mm,
go through the script, break down the character, break down who am I? Who do people believe I am? What do I know about the character? What does the character want in this world? What are the priorities of the character? What is the character's fears? Um, that's all intellectual stuff. What about the physical stuff? You know, like how does that character inhabit their body? You know, I think it's Robert De Niro. I could be wrong. I think it's Robert De Niro, unless he's quoting somebody else. Said something to the effect of one thing that he loves to discover about his character is what shoes does his character wear? Because when he finds, literally, he's not being metaphorical. When he literally finds the shoes the character wears, he feels like he can inhabit that person more.
mhm.
You know, because everybody has got a different brand, a different size, a different texture, and then take that and like, what's their gait, posture? How do they look at the world? So you've got the physical, you've got the psychological, and then you also like could have fun with exercises. Like I played a detective, you know, in a perfect world, I had time to like go down to a police station and see, you know, and shadow maybe a junior detective and see what it was like. Didn't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if I need permits or some kind of like special written permission for something like that. You know, so I did my best to like maybe make a couple phone calls to people who are like adjacent to those industries, or like maybe watch a couple of YouTube videos or a couple of movies that feel similar to the character and do some research. But ideally, it'd be nice to prepare for like 6 to 8 weeks. But in verticals, you don't get that.
No.
You're lucky if you get 2 weeks. Sometimes I've been handed a script. I just walked off a plane. I'm not kidding you. In spring of last year, I wrapped the show Thursday night, 9 p.m. I was on a flight by 11:30, 12 a.m. So 3 hours later, landed the flight in New York City, 6, 7 a.m. And I was on set by 8 for the next project. And that next project, I didn't look at the script too much because I only had it for maybe 7 to 10 days before. And 7 to 10 days before, I'm focusing on the script that I'm shooting for the 7 to 10 days before. So
Yeah.
that said, it's just, you know, sometimes with the verticals, you have to know and trust and kind of take the pressure off and practice in some ways how to shoot from the hip. You know, what instincts does Gabe bring to the table? What scenes am I most comfortable with? What scenes do I need to give a little bit of extra effort? If I flip through the script, I'm like, oh, I've done this scene before. I know this character. I know this moment. Then don't stress about it. If I'm not familiar with the scene, maybe read it a couple times the night before and review it, work through it in your mind, chew on it the morning of. And then when you step on set, at least you have a couple things to bring to the table with the director and the co-stars. But when it comes to verts, preparation, it could be as little as 0 time to 2 weeks. So,
Do you have scenes you're most comfortable with?
comfortable with, huh?
Yeah.
Let's think. Scenes that I'm most comfortable with. When it comes to the verticals, I think one scene that I've done a couple times, which I enjoy, is the, will he, won't he tell the truth?
Oh yeah.
And it's that moment where it's just one of those slower moments in the show that's like an actual, like, acting scene where the camera's watching her and it's watching me, and she believes me to be one person, and I know that I'm not. And I have to decide, is it worth telling her who I am right now, or do I need to hold out because I think the uh, delaying the truth will be a better, safer payoff? And so I'm experiencing um, kind of like threading the needle of like not lying to her, but also not telling the truth, and like just hoping that
Mm.
she doesn't like pick and get upset. And she, my romantic interest in this case, is kind of just like looking me in the eye and being like, "Okay, okay, yeah, you're who I believe you are. Are you? Yeah, I guess you are." And like those moments I've done several times, and those are like fun. They're always fun scenes. My co-stars are always great working through those scenes. But it's something that like if it's only maybe 3 to 4 pages long, I know the shape of the scene. I understand what the director is going to be looking for. I don't need days or even the night before to like get too crazy about locking into it.
Mhm.
Um, in some ways, sometimes the scenes that need more preparation are it's just more of a technical obstacle. Scenes that have like 7 characters.
Yeah.
I'm either monologuing or I've got one line every 3 pages. Um, is there choreography that involves kissing, slapping, moving from one side of the room to another? Are we shooting it in one crazy wide, or are we going to break it up into sections? Those are the scenes that you wish you had more preparation, but because of the nature of verticals, you still end up doing most of it last minute because you can't block it until you're in the space. And we're not in the space until we're in the space, you know? Like in our contracts, generally, we're paid a day rate, but we're also, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for a lot of people, the rule is you're paid a day rate and then you're paid a half day rate for rehearsal or wardrobe costumes.
Mhm.
That rehearsal, A, doesn't always happen, therefore you don't get paid for it. But B, when it does happen, it's really more of a reading and a review of the script. You're lucky if you actually get time to do a scene and rehearse it with your co-star, with the director. That rehearsal typically is not more than 6 hours. Um, and you're spending 2 of it talking about literally reading the script with whoever is most relevant to it. Maybe it's like your romantic interest, the villain, both villains, maybe a couple other people tops. And so, yeah, it's just the preparation is tough on these things, but that's why we come in and we do our best to give you guys what you deserve, something to watch.
Yeah. This one I already asked. Um, what do you want to see more in the vertical space?
Oh man, I want to see more mystery, more horror. I want to see more
Mm.
comedy. Comedy, I don't. Once the comedy clicks, it's gonna take off like wildfire, I think,
Yeah.
because everybody is. This is just a matter of money. Where's the money coming from? Right now, the money's coming mostly from Southeast Asia, and Southeast Asia has a very strong culture of romance and drama. And so, when you take the copy and paste effect, well, then that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get romance and drama. But the medium, the literal technical execution of last minute, fast paced, run and gun, independent television feature, whatever you want to call it, shooting in 8 days. Well, who better to hire than comedians and improvisational actors?
Yeah.
Like how much like most of a lot of the scripts, some people can kind of memorize word perfect, but a lot of us actors we're the lines you hear on camera are not the original dialogue. It's either um we're nailing it because like some people are really good at picking up lines. Sometimes I'll get something word perfect and I'll be like, "Oh, great." Other times I'm paraphrasing, which still works because I'm sure there's many scenes you've seen that you feel emotionally connected to,
Hmm.
and me and the actors are clearly having chemistry, and I can assure you it's not the original dialogue. And so take that, but then have like really smart, talented comedians who they're trying to break into comedy. And so they're not going to be paid a ton of money. But in the same way that people go up and do stand up night after night, unpaid to work on their craft, I have a feeling that verticals will eventually be a good proving ground for comedians who will want to do like really fun, silly. Maybe we'll get back into screwball comedies, stuff like Airplane, back in the day, or maybe some like, I mean, they're not screwball comedies, but the Mel Brooks kind of stuff. It's just there's a lot of mining for comedy and for horror, I think, but it's going to require money. It's going to require audience. I also think this sounds strange at first, but I think people will understand once I explain. I think children's content in verticals really is going to find a place. And when I say children's
Mm.
content, I don't mean soaps. I mean like Disney Channel for kids. Like it just makes so much sense to have all these like silly characters
Yeah,
who are predictable, like, Liz McGuire, Even Stevens is what I grew up with. A lot of people love, like, iCarly
yeah.
or, Ned's Declassified. These are other shows, again, that I grew up with.
Me too.
And so you have yeah, yeah. So all these characters, they like we grew up with, and they're predictable, and they're fun, and they're silly. But if you compare them to verticals, like you kind of know who's the hero, who's the best friend, who's the smart one, who's the kind of dumb one, who's the big brother, who's the parent. Like Malcolm in the Middle would be a great example of something that I think could work as like a vertical or something. It's just people need to recognize at some point that once there's a children's content boom for this, it's going to be huge. And in my opinion, it could be a lot better than the crap that's online right now for kids, because I would rather my kids watching, shows which, by the way, like, A, I don't have kids, B, I don't really want when I do have kids, I want them on phone, but I would rather them be watching effectively a show you can watch vertically and swipe a couple times through for episodes with, like, really fun characters and educational context than just watching stupid TikTok, YouTube videos. Like, that might I do not want my child near any of that crap, you know?
Mm, I totally understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from. Uh, do, 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 do. Do you have any goals for this year or the future? Whatever you want to answer.
I think the 2 primary goals right now, and we'll see how the future proves, because honestly, I feel a little overwhelmed at times. I'm,
Mm,
like, in this kinda transition period where it's like, I've been doing verticals for almost 2 years now. I really enjoy them, but the industry is getting more competitive. And so me and a lot of the other actors are figuring out how to work consistently, while recognizing that there's just a lot of people in the space, and there's going to be a lot more people fighting for the jobs. You know, a year ago wasn't the case, but as
no.
ideally as we're going to just go through periods of expanding and contracting, where it'll feel competitive, but then a lot more money will come in and there'll be a lot more jobs. And then it'll feel a lot competitive again. And then there'll be different kinds of jobs. And maybe I won't be playing the CEO as much. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like with the vertical children's content, I'd be more than happy to play like the goofy iCarly Big Brother for a year. Like that would be so much fun. You know, like just playing on set and being that. But the point is, um, for me, trying to adapt to the way the industry grows, I really would like to write and produce my own vertical, teaming up with the production company and the platform and acting in it. That would be a great goal. That is a great goal that I am working on. And then, me and Ani, we're very excited about this idea of like being like some kind of couples page, positive influence. And so, you know, some people are more than happy to like keep that private, and I think that's healthy. And her and I have conversations about how to make sure it's healthy. But there's a part of me that really feels that at best, it's just a fun exercise for us to do, posting and sharing our life together. Or rather, at worst, that's what it is, even if it just ends up being a fun thing. But at best, it could be like a way to like expand our following. Could give us more leverage from like a metrically driven space of influencers and things of that nature. It could create other um, paths for uh, finances and stuff. So, or income rather.
Mm,
So, yeah, I think building something with Ani and building other roles for myself in the vertical space would be really exciting. And we'll see, you know, and also just making as many more disposable pictures as possible. These are so much fun. These are great. So, yeah.
What did I want to have? Did you have a favorite memory you photographed with your camera?
Photograph. Oh, I've taken a lot at this point. Let me think. Do I have? There's one photo which I love. I feel like I may have gave it to. No, it's right here. I gotta post these on Instagram at some point. So this is a picture of me and Ani.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring it even a little bit closer. Um,
Oh,
and oh, hello. And what's it called? This photo is her and I in Disney, Shanghai, in the Zootopia section. And what I love about this photo is that the moment before we asked somebody to take the photo. Oh, and I wanted to kick her ass because this random stranger, God bless her, it's a busy place. Nobody's familiar with disposable cameras. You hand them a piece of plastic and there's no screen. I can't look at it. Like it's only one photo and that's it. You're done. So you know sometimes they get nervous about it. They accidentally click it. Blah blah blah. But the point is like I'm trying to get the pose. I'm trying to make sure we look okay. I'm like, yeah, 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 ER son. And then Ani, you know, she speaks actual Chinese, so she's able to communicate in Mandarin how to like use the camera and wait a second. And so she tells her how we want the photo, where we want the photo, and then I go stand there and I look at Ani and I'm like, all right, let's just give it a couple seconds. And then I hear click and flash. And this photo, what I love about it is that Ani is so clearly just relaxed and smiling and looking at me, and I am just laser focused on her, which in some ways is the best because you know how it is to just like pose for a picture. And it's nice because everybody, like, this is a moment. We're going to pose and we're going to smile, and this is this. But I love a candid photo. And there's something about this where I'm, I really am just talking and focused on her. And that, I just think it was a beautiful moment captured. And because they're disposable, there's also just something fun about the way the camera looks. It looks like something out of the 90s. And, you know, I grew up in the 90s on these things. I don't know how many other people did, but like, it's just this photo is one of my favorite photos.
Me
Yeah.
too. I grew.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me happy.
That's a beautiful photo and thank you for sharing that. I love your story.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you. Thank you.
This one I always really ask. This is kind of similar to other question, but what would you advise Gabe that just started verticals?
Um, I mean, the big lesson I've been learning in my life in general, and I think it's just easy to throw at Gabe, who just started verticals, is just commit. Don't dip your toe in. Go all the way in because there's nothing but value and memories and money, true, and opportunity to be found. There's nothing to be nervous about. There's nothing to be worried about. There's a lot of people who they still look at verticals and they're not sure. And I try to just tell them, just do it. You know, and in my case, what I'm learning, not just with verticals, but in other parts of my life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's financial planning, whether it's writing, whether it's going on a trip, you will get the most satisfaction out of fully committing, not half committing, not kind of considering, not, well, maybe it'll work out, but let me just consider, like, just fully commit.
Yeah. Mm, around 6, 7 more questions.
That's great. Yeah, let's work through them. Let's see if we could try to wrap it up in the next 30 minutes tops.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good on time. How about you?
that's great.
Great.
Do, 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 do. What do you hope viewers get out of watching your shows?
What do I hope to get out of the work in my shows?
No, what do you hope that viewers, like for example me, get out of your shows?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's think. So when it comes to verticals, I would like to believe what people will get is a little bit of, it's not just shows. I guess this is movies in generals
Yeah.
that I like to be a part of. But I'd like to believe that when the audience is watching these, that they're just, I don't know if it sounds cheesy or like not specific enough, but just like a little, just a teeny vacation from real life. It's, I guess that's the simplest way to put it. Because I feel like art doesn't need to be just a distraction. It can be a place to feel emotionally connected, enriched. It can be a place to live vicariously through experiences that you may not have on a daily basis. So I'm not saying only a vacation in the sense of a distraction, but the idea that there could be an opportunity for people to just take a break, to take rest, to take whatever you want to call it from the stress of life, the burden of, daily responsibilities. That sounds like a wonderful thing if I can provide people that. And different verticals will do that, different films will do that. I've done a couple of goofy, silly verticals, which like I hope people get laughter and just fun out of. I've done a couple very romantic ones where I hope people, um, if they're in a relationship, they feel inspired. If they're not in a relationship, they feel inspired. I've done a couple of tragic ones, and it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe this is an opportunity to either A, be grateful for what you do have versus what they don't have, but also B, like maybe like connect with somebody who like, okay, so this is what real loss looks like. But yeah, I guess it would be nice to just connect with the fans and be able to provide the audience like a place to escape, whether it's for 10 minutes, 2 minutes, or 2 hours.
Yeah, and you did. You do. I mean,
Yeah.
um, do you have any funny moments or bloopers on set?
Do you have any funny moments or bloopers on set? I wish I had like clips to show you. I'm trying to think of anything that felt particularly silly while we were shooting it. You know what? This might be kind of good. This is a me and Kiki Frags, Mr. Kyle Fragnoli. We shot with Francesca. I forget what it's called. I think it's like Alpha's Tender Torture or something like that. We shot that last year in China. And there was a moment when we were on set and we were, it's an alpha, it's a wolf vertical,
Mhm.
and all that stuff. And so one of the scenes was kind of like a scream off, and there was just something very silly about like both cameras shooting over our shoulders, and the lines were just like getting increasingly angry with each other, and we would just get louder and louder and louder, and then we'd have to like roar at each other. And sometimes, like, the director wouldn't call cut, and we were just still kind of roaring at each other, and we're just like, "How long are we gonna do this with each other?" And then there's the whole feeling of, like, after we roar, then we have to kind of, like, fall away from each other onto the ground. And there was just kind of this silly sense of, like, falling. Oh, you didn't get it? Okay, let me come back. Okay. You ready? Ready, ready? And then we just do it again. And there was just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just Just
Oh my
like
God.
we see these things in cinema that are supposed to be like effective, romantic, action-packed, but when you're actually shooting it, sometimes it's just so silly. And that was one of those moments where like we really had to fight to keep a straight face through some of those scenes because it was yeah, it was very fun. It was really fun.
I love that. Ooh. Oh, do, do, do,
You
do.
know, sometimes that happens with intimacy too, because you're working with the co-star that you respect and you're friends with, but you're like lying in bed for like 4 hours with them, and you can't help but laugh or like need a water or have to pee or just be exhausted. And you just, all right, let's do it again, different angle. All right, let's smooch, let's make out, whatever. It's just okay again. But when you're able to like, you know, lock in, you get the romance and the chemistry that the camera needs to like make the scene amazing. But there is that little bit like, I don't want to pull the curtain back too far, but sometimes we're making these scenes and like it's just funny being with like a professional actor that you respect, and also we're just like sitting in bed in pajamas for like 4 hours while like 20 people are in the room watching us. It's very silly.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be 20 people. It really shouldn't be more than 5, but yeah.
Um, who or what inspires you in acting?
When you say who inspires me, oh, who or what inspires me?
Yeah, who or what?
Hmm. I'm gonna mention an idea that inspired me. Um, what's it called? I can't remember the actor's name, but he said something to the effect of, "I wouldn't be in this business uh, if I wasn't a writer." And it sounds like a strange thing at first because you've never really seen this guy build as a writer. You've only seen him build and credited as an actor. And Jack Nicholson. And what he's saying is that when he shows up on set to work, he's got a big mouth. He's like, I don't think this dialogue works. I don't think this is what the character would say. This is what the character would say. And the willingness, the self respect, the professionalism to challenge the director and the writer and fill the role of what you were hired to do,
Mhm.
even if it means speaking up and disagreeing with your co artists. I like that. I think that's very healthy. Like, I'm not hired on set to be a yes man and to just like make goo goo gaga eyeballs across from my co-stars. Like, ideally, I am there to like bring ideas to the table and make sure that, sure, everybody feels respected artistically, but that, yeah, especially coming from myself where I don't really see myself as just an actor. Like I said, I'm an actor by trade, but my brain works on all these other creative verticals, I guess you could call it, pun intended. There's all these different categories that my brain is functioning when it comes to the writing and the facilitation or producing or honestly, I really should direct. I get so excited about like what the camera sees and what the audience sees. But point is that yeah, I found that very inspiring when I heard Jack Nicholson say that. His, more or less his willingness to take control of his job as an actor and define it not by what's um not define it by purely the bare minimum of what you are
Mhm.
hired to perform, but what you can bring to the table in a challenging and thought-provoking way. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the next the next one is more like funny random question. I always like to put two just funny questions in it. One is if you were stranded on an abandoned island, and only got to take three things or people, whatever you want to say, with you.
Oh man. Stranded on an abandoned island. Well, I would take Ani. Granted, I don't know if she'd be happy that I took her to an abandoned island. We'll see about that. She'd be like, "Why are we here?" Um, After that, I would bring an acoustic piano. I would have to find a cave to put it in, so it doesn't get wet, I guess. And then I would, what else would I want? A piano, my sweet lady Ani, and I'm trying to think of something that's like, oh man, but there's no electricity. I was gonna say a TV. Oh, I just love watching movies. I love movies so much. Um, you know what would be cool? If I could bring a magical camera with unlimited film, because then I could take pictures of my time on the island. I'd have to protect it because just because it's unlimited film doesn't mean it's unbreakable. But yeah, getting to make music and art with Ani on an island and take photos unlimited would be pretty cool. That'd be cool.
I love that answer. Da. I think this one you already kind of answered, but still, what is your favorite genre to like act or watch?
Interesting. Okay, so a little different than what we talked about before. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite genre to watch. I've been kind of on a noir kick over the last year. Like I just saw the new film Crime 101, which apparently critics are liking, but the fans aren't a big like the audiences aren't in love with. I think it's an amazing film. I think it's an indication of like just good filmmaking, storytelling, kind of mysterious, represents LA in a nice, juicy, dark way. Lots of great acting, lots of great twists. Crime 101, I think it's a great film. But like I love like these again these worlds or these characters or these plots with like moral ambiguity. The True Detective, Nightcrawler, um, Fight Club. What else? What else is a good thing in that genre? Zodiac. Oh, so good. Blackbird, which is an Apple TV show. Um, yeah, I really love that space. I've been enjoying that, at least as a viewer. If not the chance to perform, which the film I did in the fall was also a noir. I played a junior detective, and we were on the hunt for a killer. Outside of that, what else is a favorite of mine? I've been itching to rewatch the original Mummy movies. I just need some like campy action adventure, and that sounds great to me. I just love campy action adventure. And Brendan Fraser is just so good. I love him. So,
That's it.
yeah,
Then I have this my second funny question. If you
sure.
could have any superpowers, which one?
Oh, honestly, my first instinct is I know it sounds kind of lame, but I would say my first instinct, well, it's not lame. The ability to fly is just such an incredible thing. It's just, I don't know. The ability to fly. I think it's not so much its ability to fly as it is the ability to see everything and go anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't know about teleportation though. Like that sounds kind of boring. Like you just close your eyes and you open it and you're somewhere. I guess that's kind of cool. But maybe I don't know if you're familiar with superheroes, but they have like I think they call 'em, I think fans call them the speedsters
Mhm.
in like Marvel and DC
Yeah.
comics. But like the power like the Flash, oh my goodness, traveling faster than the speed of light in a way that like yeah, well, I don't know if it's fast. It's fast though. Whatever it is, it's fast. Um, yeah, just being able something that would allow me to just spend my life where I want to be, not necessarily getting to where I want to be. And I don't mean that I need to skip the journey per se. Like people, I think people hear that and they're like, "Oh, is Gabe just like a result-oriented guy?" And that's not what I mean. I mean literally, not metaphorically. Like
Mhm.
life will come to me. Earlier, we talked about like if I could tell people at the age of 18 that if you go to Hollywood, do you want to go to Hollywood? You should go to Hollywood. I don't want people to hear that and think like, oh, is Gabe regretting that he didn't go to Hollywood at 18 years old? No, that's not the case. Because when I went to New York, I met amazing people. For those of you at home who don't know, I was a caretaker for 7 years for a woman in her 90s. Her name was Catherine. She was amazing. We went from strangers to best friends, family, really. And so, like, my time in New York was special. I don't regret my time. If I moved to Hollywood, it's very possible if I was in LA for the last 10 years, I A, would have moved out of LA and moved to New York instead, or B, never met Ani, maybe didn't do verticals.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't have regrets. And so from a metaphorical standpoint, I don't want to rush the journey. I'm very excited about where I am on my way to, but quite literally, superpower. I don't want to get on the plane for 13 hours when I go to China. I would rather teleport or run as fast as I can to get there, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Then, as last question, not really a question, more like I always like to end with this one. And it is
Okay.
if you have message to the people who have been watching your shows, who have been watching our conversation, or me.
Uh, well, okay. So one for the people who've watched my shows, um, I guess one I would just say is thank you. Because I started doing these uh as like a server who was a little bit in debt and was feeling kind of lost as an actor. And you all have given me a platform and a place and a home to really just like express and experience my craft in the fullest way possible. I know it sounds maybe a bit overwrought or like cheesy, but I don't know how else to describe it.
No,
I
really.
mean, for the last 2 hours, you could tell that like it's just the way I talk or express. It's like I have to find the words that I want to use to express. I try to be very specific with the way I speak, and so
Uh,
yeah, like the audience really has provided me a home to be an actor, and I can't understate how grateful I am for that. Um, And I just, you know, as long as the vertical space will have me, I will be here. If I have the opportunity to work on bigger stuff, then I will take the opportunity. But I'd like to believe that as long as verticals continue to expand, and as long as my co-stars and myself, you know, our egos don't inflate, but we stay like grounded artists who like just love to work like, I feel like inevitably there will be a vertical that I can work on and play on, you know, regardless of where I am in my career. Even if I'm just producing them and I just like pop in for a cameo, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like that would be fun too. So I'm endlessly thankful to the audience. I would say for you, Sana, I would say thank you for your patience and your willingness to not give up on me.
Of course.
Because for those of you at home who don't know, we've been talking about chatting for a long time, and I was in the middle of shooting. I was with family during the holidays. I was traveling. I was jet lagged. I had literally, up until the last minute, I always got another excuse. I was at a doctor's appointment that I almost forgot about this morning. Um, and Sana has just been the sweetest to me online, whether it's encouraging me through my projects or, other things I share, but also like just giving me a space to share my life. And yeah, this is really wonderful. So thank you.
You're welcome. I do that with a lot of love. So, and I'm really grateful that we got to do this now, but I'm really thankful. Thank you so much for this great long conversation.
Of course. This is perfect. I love being here, checking in. This is really lovely. I feel really good. Like with all your questions. They were well thought out and you gave me a space to talk. Sometimes I just like showing up. This is such like I said, this is a privilege to be a part of. This I'm a big fan.
So,
Yeah,
again, thank you. I
very cool.
hope you have a good rest of your mid afternoon. Is it with you? I think
That's pretty good. Yeah, you crushed that. It's about 2 p.m. in LA.
it's with
Yeah. Is
me.
it super late for you? I didn't even
Yeah,
think about that.
yeah. It's 11 p.m. almost,
Oh my goodness.
but
Okay.
I really lost what you were saying. So this is, by the way, also my longest conversation ever.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh my goodness. I hope I didn't give you too much to work through.
No,
So
I love doing this. So thank you.
amazing. Thank you.
I
All right, team.
Yeah. All right. I hope you enjoy
Cool.
your afternoon.
Thank you. Yeah, you sounds like you got to get some sleep. Yeah, I got a couple auditions I got to bang out. I got a
Mm.
couple things, but
Good luck
this
with
was
your
definitely happy we made time. So
auditions.
thank you. All right. All right, Miss Sana. We'll chat soon, okay?
Yeah, for sure. All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.